Good morning and welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoons. Please just let me check my volume here to make sure that I've got it set properly. Hang on just a second. I think I can do this. It looks like I'm okay. Am I back? I am back. Anyway, I hope you're having a nice Saturday morning. At least it's Saturday morning still here in Northern California. And it's a beautiful day. Constance is out on her bicycle shopping this morning. And you and me are here. Uh, I am getting ready. I've got a kind of an important interview that I'm going to be doing tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Okay, that's Sunday. And because it's at 10 a.m., Sunday school will be a little late tomorrow. I probably won't get started till around 11 o'clock my time. So this is just heads up that if you tune in tomorrow at 10 o'clock Pacific time, I won't be here, but I will hopefully be here around 11 o'clock tomorrow. So there's that. But I have, for that interview, the interviewers sometimes, especially on big, more formal interviews, will send me a selection of questions that they may be asking me as if I ever really prepare. They think I prepare for these things. But anyway, one of the questions, very good question, concerned what are my favorite books by Aleister Crowley that I would not only recommend, but it is my personal favorites, ones that I get the most out of. And so one of those, I'm not going to give away the interview, but one of those books is Liber XXX, or however you want to pronounce that. Okay, so figure 30. It's just a pamphlet, obviously. And it is, we can't totally credit it to Aleister Crowley because it is a very artfully paraphrased little section of a golden dawn ritual. So it's not originally Crowley, and it's not a Class A document or anything like that. But it's subfigura 30, okay, and 30 is the Hebrew letter Lamed, which is right in the middle, and it's usually associated or traditionally associated with the Justice card. In old decks, Justice card was found as number 8, which puts the Hebrew letter assignment to it sort of out of whack. It should be in the 11th place. That way you have 10. Oh, well, anyway. But there are quite a few Crowley documents, including his organization of certain very important books, including his Magic and Theory and Practice, that breaks the chapters up into 22 sections to assigned to one of the letters of the Hebrew alphabet. And if you're assigning it to tarot, it'd be 0, 1 through 21. And Liber is one of those texts, okay? And it has 0 through 21 sections. And they're not easily, or at least they're not on the surface. Zero's not super connected to the Fool, and but of course, in mystical things, anything can be associated with anything else. Look, here's what I tried to do, and because it's Saturday morning cartoons, there's audio visuals. So zero, and zero in the tarot is the Fool. Learn first, O thou who aspirest unto our holy order, that equilibrium is the basis of the work. If thou thyself hast not a sure foundation, whereon wilt thou stand to direct the forces of nature? Now, it looks pretty Zen-like and cool to talk about a firm foundation when a guy's stepping off of a cliff. So we got kind of a neat thing going here. So that was the zero one. And number one was, know then that as man is born into this world amidst the darkness of matter and the strife of contending forces, so must first his endeavor be to seek the light through their reconciliation. Now you can sort of see that happening there, okay? But it's not something that would just jump to my mind. And for the high priestess, thou then who hast trials and troubles, rejoice because of them, for in them is strength, and by their means is a pathway open to that light. Now, when you think about where the high priestess is on the tree of life, okay, she's that path leading from Kether, number 1, to Tifereth, number 6. Pathway open to that light. Yeah, that sort of makes sense. Well, let me do one more, because let's see. How should it be otherwise, O man, whose life is but a day in eternity, a drop in the ocean of time? How were thy trials not many? Couldst thou purge thy soul from the dross of earth? Is it now that the higher life is beset with dangers and difficulties? Hath it not ever been such with the sages and hierophants of the past? They have been persecuted and reviled. They have been tormented of men. Yet through this also has their glory increased. Okay, I really have to dig to make that make too much sense for the Empress card, number 3. So, even though some of them sort of line up okay, I started to think. This is Liber Libriae, book 30, and 30 is Lamed, okay? And it's the 11th position, even though it's the tarot card is 8. Never mind about that at the moment. In the treasure house of images, that wonderful, wonderful, awesome, magnificent, elegant, inspired piece of mystical literature by J.F.C. Fuller. He has a series of songs, if you will, that each have 13 verses, okay? And each verse is a sign of the zodiac, a different sign of the zodiac, okay? And but he's got 13 of those chapters too. Well, there are actually more, but 13 of those chapters. So the first chapter would be Aries, and the 13 verses within the Aries chapter would be the Aries, would be the first verse, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, etc. Then the next page is the chapter on Taurus. And the first verse of the Taurus one is Taurus, Gemini, Cancer. And then Aries would be all pushed all the way to the bottom. Okay, so each one of the zodiac chapters starts with its native sign and the little poem that goes with that. It's quite ingenious. So that got me thinking. This is Liber Librae, subfigura 30, book 30, Lamed, Librae. So here's the tarot deck, the tarot trumps, stacked in order. So let me just start at the Libra, right here, and without disturbing the order of the cards, cut the deck there, just like the ordering section in the Treasure House of Images, and then start the reading assigned like this, in this order. So I'm going to go through Liber Librae. It only takes like 4 minutes to read the whole thing, so don't think I'm going to keep you here all morning. I know you got important junk to do out there, okay? So this is what it looks like. It's not much better, okay? But it is interesting. Libra. And we're going to treat this one as 0. Got it? Now it's kind of interesting that the Justice card, the goddess of the Justice card, being assigned to Libra, right in the middle of a tarot trump sequence, if we're starting at 1 anyway, right in the middle with 10 cards in front and 10 cards in back, like the fulcrum of a teeter-totter. She is the smooth point, the unmoved point, the fulcrum point. All the rest of the tarot cards move, swing one way or another around that point. There's only one other card that is transcendent of the duality type movement, and that's the 0 card, the Fool. She is the Fool's girlfriend, even though she is 11, well, 8 here. It has more in common with 0 than any of the other cards. She is the Fool's girlfriend. The Fool is Aleph. She is Lamed. L. A-L means God. It's the simplest word, root word for God. And L-A, Lamed Aleph, is the word that means nothing. It's so cool. Okay. Or maybe not. Who knows? It's Saturday morning cartoons. Don't take anything I say seriously. Second I say it, I already regret saying it. Okay, so capture it while you can. Here we go. Librae from 0 to 21, but starting with Lamed. Learn first, O thou who aspirest into our holy order, that equilibrium is the basis of the work. If thou thyself hast not a sure foundation, whereon wilt thou stand to direct the forces of nature? Know then that as man is born into this world among the darkness of matter and the strife of contending forces, so must his first endeavor be to seek the light through their reconciliation. Thou then, who hast trials and troubles, rejoice because of them, for in them is strength, and by their means is a pathway open unto that light. How should it be otherwise, O man, whose life is but a day in eternity, a drop in the ocean of time? How, were thy trials not many, couldst thou purge thy soul from the dross of earth? Is it but now that the higher life is beset with dangers and difficulties? Hath not it ever been so with the sages and hierophants of the past? They have been persecuted and reviled. They have been tormented of men, yet through this also has their glory been increased. Rejoice! Therefore, O initiate, for the greater thy trial, the greater thy triumph. When men shall revile thee and speak against thee falsely, hath not the Master said, Blessed be thou? Yet, O aspirant, let thy victories bring thee not vanity. For with increased knowledge should come increase of wisdom. For he who knoweth little thinketh he knoweth much, but he who knoweth much has learned his own ignorance. See thou a man wise in his own conceit? There is more hope of a fool than of him. Be not hasty to condemn others. How knowest thou that in their place thou couldst have resisted the temptation? And even if it were so, why shouldst thou despise one who is weaker than thyself? Thou, therefore, who desirest magical gifts, be sure that thy soul is firm and steadfast, for it is by flattering thy, I'm holding things up here, because this is such a good one. By flattering thy weakness, the weak ones will have power over thee. Humble thyself before thyself, yet fear neither man nor spirit. Fear is failure and the forerunner of failure, and courage is the beginning of virtue. Therefore fear not the spirits, but be firm and courteous with them. For thou hast no right to despise or revile them, and this too may lead thee astray. Command and banish them, curse them by their great names if need be, but neither mock nor revile them. For so assuredly wilt thou be led into error. Now this usually is the last judgment card here. Okay. A man is what he maketh himself within the limits fixed by his inherited destiny. He is part of mankind. His actions affect not only what he calleth himself, but also the whole universe. Saturn, okay, which shares its thing with Earth. Okay. Worship and neglect not the physical body, which is thy temporary connection with the outer and material world. Therefore, let thy mental equilibrium be above disturbance by material events. Strengthen and control the animal passions. Discipline the emotions and the reason. Nourish the higher aspirations. Now we've come all the way around and we're continuing, but we're starting again at the beginning. Do good unto others for its own sake, not for reward, not for gratitude, not for sympathy. If thou art generous, thou wilt not long for thine ears to be tickled by expressions of gratitude. Remember that unbalanced force is evil, that unbalanced severity, but cruelty and oppression, but that also unbalanced mercy is but weakness that would allow and abet evil. Act passionately, think rationally. Be thyself. True ritual is as much action as it is word. As word. I'll say that again. True ritual is as much action as word. It is will. Remember that this earth is but an atom in the universe, and that thyself art but an atom thereon, and that even couldst thou become the god of this earth whereon thou crawlest and grovelest, that would even then be but an atom, and one amongst many. Nevertheless, have the greatest respect, and to that end sin not against thyself. The sin which is unpardonable is knowingly and willfully to reject truth. Allow me to repeat that. The sin which is unpardonable is knowingly and willfully to reject truth, to fear knowledge, lest that knowledge pander not to thy prejudices. To obtain magical power, learn to control thought. Admit only those ideas that are in harmony with the end desired, and not every stray and contradictory idea that presents itself. Fixed thought is a means to an end. Therefore, pay attention to the power of silent thought and meditation. The material act is but the outward expression of thy thought. And therefore hath it been said that the thought of foolishness is sin. Thought is the commencement of action. And if a chance thought can produce much effect, what cannot fixed thought do? Therefore, as hath already been said, establish thyself firmly in the equilibrium of forces, in the center of the cross of the elements, that cross from whose center the creative word issued at the birth of the dawning universe. Be thou therefore prompt and active as the sylphs, but avoid frivolity and caprice. Be energetic and strong, like the salamanders, but avoid irritability and ferocity. Be flexible and attentive to images, like the undines, but avoid idleness and changeability. Be laborious and patient, like the gnomes, but avoid grossness and avarice. So shalt thou gradually develop the powers of thy soul, and fix thyself to command the spirits of the elements. For wert thou to summon the gnomes to pander to thine avarice, thou wouldst no longer command them, but they would command thee. Wouldst thou abuse the pure beings of the woods and mountains to fill thy coffers and satisfy thy hunger of gold? Wouldst thou debase the spirits of living fire to serve thy wrath and hatred? Wouldst thou violate the purity of the purity of the souls of the waters to pander to thy lust of debauchery? Wouldst thou force the spirits of the evening breeze to minister to thy folly and caprice? Know that with such desires thou canst but attract the weak, not the strong. And in that case, the weak will have power over thee. And this would be the 21 in this case. In true religion there is no sect. Therefore take heed that thou blaspheme not the name by which another knoweth his God. For if thou do this thing in Jupiter, thou wilt blaspheme Yod-He-Vav-He, and in Osiris, Yod-He-Shin-Vav-He. Ask, and ye shall have. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. Now, I don't know if that was ever part of Crowley's intention, and if it was, as you can see, they don't always profoundly line up. But neither do they when starting it at zero, at least as far as I'm concerned. But this is just the text itself of Liber Libriae, or the Book of the Balance, is and remains and has been since I first read it, perhaps my favorite of all the material that came from or through Aleister Crowley. And when I'm asked that question on my interview tomorrow, that's going to be part of my answer. Anyway, that's it for today. Continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Tomorrow's Sunday school is going to be an hour late tomorrow, but hopefully I'll still be here. And until then, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.